po sa huling sequencing run, sa kabuuan, nakapagtala na po tayo ng 81 XBB cases mula sa 2 rehiyon sa bansa at 193 XBC cases mula sa 11 na rehiyon. Bagamat may mga pumapasok na mga bagong variant dito sa ating bansa, hindi po natin kailangan magpanik, hindi po natin kailangang matakot. Ang kailangan po natin maging mapagmatyag. Lagi dapat tayong aware. In that sense, na alam natin kung kailan tayo protektado laban sa sakit na ito. So patuloy natin ang pagpapatupad at compliance to the minimum public health standards. Ibig sabihin, pagpasok ng mga variants na ito, alam natin transmission is happening.
From the nation's capital, all sides, all the time, I'm Jess De Los Santos.
And I'm Gretchen Hall. The big story tonight.
Health experts are flagging the rising COVID-19 cases in the country.
This comes after 2 new Omicron subvariants have entered the Philippines. Mobile journalist Jacob Lazaro with the big story.
The health department confirms that 81 cases of the Omicron XBB subvariant and 193 cases of the XBC subvariant have been detected in the Philippines since Tuesday. But for Octa Research Fellow Guido David, it is possible that these COVID-19 subvariants have long entered the country, hence the higher transmission rate of COVID-19 in provinces. For health reform advocate Tony Leachon, this could be worrisome, especially for children who are going to school.
Kasi yung kids kasi, huli sila na bakunahan at na-booster. Kasi kung hindi natin yan i-re-evaluate, that will be a problem for all of us. Kasi airborne kasi siya.
But education spokesperson Michael Powa insists full face-to-face classes will resume next month, despite the threats of new COVID-19 subvariants.
We will always take our cue from the advice given by the DOH pagdating sa mga health guidelines or any health concerns.
To keep Filipinos protected, Dr. Leachon advises the government to suspend the voluntary wearing of face masks and make booster shots mandatory. Leachon says this is necessary because the new XBC subvariant is a combination of the Omicron and Delta variants, which have proven to be infectious and vital. Both XBB and XBC variants also have high immune escape. This means that even those who are vaccinated and have had COVID-19 could get reinfected. In its latest tally, the DOH noted that the ICU bed occupancy in the country remains at 25%, while 33 people have died due to the coronavirus from October 3 to 16. Mobile journalist Jacob Lazaro, we are One News.
Now here to share her insights about these new Omicron subvariants in the Philippines, we have with us on the line Dr. Cynthia Saloma, Executive Director of the Philippine Genome Center. Good evening and welcome to the big story, Doc Saloma. What's the likelihood, Doc, that these subvariants have long been spreading in the country earlier than we first detected the XBB and the XBC?
So thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much for having me, Jessica. So we are actually sequencing about 10% of the RT-PCR positive cases in the country, and since June po ito. And we noticed the earliest detection of the XBB variant in Western Visayas was actually on September 20 this year. Whereas the XBC variant, the earliest detection was in August 24 in Leachon. And so if you really look at the data that we have from whole genome sequencing, we noticed that the rise of the XBB variant was more noticeable this September. So, and I would like to emphasize also that some of the earlier variants, like BA.2.10, these have been reclassified into the XBB variant. So when we look at the data, the earliest case for XBB was September 24.
Doc, given the current healthcare utilization rate, is there a cause for alarm? And what should we watch out for, given that cases in Singapore have been rising because of the XBB variant? Is the same scenario likely here? And what would be should we be watching out for in the coming months?
Also, Gretchen, these variants of concern, kasi all of these are variants of concern, and of course these hybrids XBB is a hybrid of Delta and Omicron, whereas the XBB variant are two BA.2 subvariant hybrids. So these being variants of concern, syempre, there is a really increased transmissibility and immunization kasi nakita naman natin some of our cases have actually been vaccinated and boosted, and still they were infected. So this is the very nature of the virus. It keeps on mutating, and it is very, very important for us to remember that these, of course, are airborne viruses. So what makes us, and the cases are relatively milder in terms of clinical presentation. So I think it's very, very important that though these variants, they will keep on coming and coming for as long as there's transmission, but it is also very, very important that we continue our vaccination and, of course, have to wear masks because these are airborne infections. So whether or not we're going to see the increased cases that is happening in Singapore, in the Philippines so far naman, of course, may mga bahagyang pagtaas, hindi naman as dramatic as the others. And I think this is largely because people continue on masking.
Mm-hmm. So given that, Doc, do you think it's high time for us to rethink some of our existing policies, especially given the past few weeks and months even? We have started easing our restrictions. We're talking about the mask mandate outdoors. At the same time, we are set to implement full face-to-face classes come next month. So are these things that we need to be rethinking about now?
I think we still have to proceed. We really have to learn how to live with this virus. As I mentioned, Jester, the virus will continue on mutating for as long as the transmission is ongoing. And marami pa ito, marami pang subvariants, and most likely hybrid variants that are coming, and we have to go on with our lives. But at the same time, we have to maintain that we are fully protected. So I do not recommend, for example, that we hold on with these face-to-face classes because the evidence suggests that these viruses and, of course, even these hybrids are actually manageable. They are not clogging our healthcare facilities. So I think, but what I would fully recommend is for children as well as the adults to be vaccinated or to get their booster, and of course to wear masks, particularly in enclosed spaces.
Doc Saloma, we've seen some research that the XBB variant is immunoevasive. Is that correct? And does this change now the way we fight against the subvariants of COVID-19? Do we need new vaccines?
Gretchen, yung immune evasiveness by its very nature, I think all our variants of concern are immune evasive. So nakita naman ninyo, Gretchen, na even if the people have been vaccinated, na-infect pa rin sila. But what is important is they did not develop into severe cases. No, so I think the challenge really in vaccine design is the virus keeps on mutating, and by the time you have a vaccine that is approved for implementation or for distribution, iba na naman ang circulating variant, so we cannot produce vaccines fast enough as the virus mutates. So our dream really, of course, in the future is if our vaccine designers can design a pan-coronavirus vaccine that is more or less resistant to some of the mutations that we see. But, if you keep on running after and making all these, variant-specific vaccines, I think the virus is mutating faster than we can design the vaccines. Kaya ang dream talaga natin na sana yung vaccine natin, yung pan-coronavirus would be more or less able to withstand or to fight back, to give us protection, even if, of course, there are some mutations in regions of the genome of the virus. So I think it's a little bit impossible at this rate with the way the virus and the variants are occurring, and then the process of let's say, researching and designing and then launching these sub-variant vaccines. Nakikita natin ngayon, for example, we have BA.5 bivalent vaccines, but who knows, in the next few weeks or in the next few months, it will not be BA.5 that will be in circulation kasi nakikita natin hybrid variants na rin. But of course, this will protect to a certain degree us. Ang challenge really is, of course, eventually, ang dream natin sana magiging pan-coronavirus vaccine ang ma-design nila so that it will be more resistant, to many variations in the genome of the virus.
All right, thank you again for those insights and those updates. Of course, Dr. Cynthia Saloma, Executive Director of the Philippine Genome Center.
The Health Department is replacing the One Health Pass with a new electronic arrival card. During a press briefing, DOH officer in charge Maria Rosario Vergeres said this move was agreed upon by the Interagency Task Force amid reports of inconvenience. The e-arrival card will serve as a central database for all travelers in the country, which will aid the government's contact tracing efforts. Vergeres explained that unlike the One Health Pass, the e-arrival card will ask for fewer information from travelers.
Wala na pong masyadong mga hinihingi na requirements. Pangalawa, kung hindi mo ma-upload yan, meron tayong special lane sa ating mga airports kung saan pagdating mo, i-assist ka nila.
Let's pause for a quick break. Right after that, consumers welcome the so-called BBM sugar, or cheaper sugar sold by the SRA amid rising food prices. That and more when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News.
The European Union has announced a new emergency package to tackle the energy crunch. The package aims to use the EU's joint purchasing power as leverage in negotiations with global gas suppliers, enabling joint purchasing in case of shortages. But the bloc is refraining from immediate gas price caps amid concerns over security of supply.
As we make every effort to keep prices predictable and gas flowing to Europe, we cannot exclude a real supply crisis with a shortage of gas, and for this solidarity and demand reduction are a key.
South Korea's military says North Korea has fired artillery shells into buffer zones near its sea boundaries. Officials in Seoul say the North fired around 250 rounds late Tuesday. On Monday, South Korea began 12 days of annual military exercises, which include an unspecified number of U.S. troops. North Korea has increased weapons tests in recent weeks in response to what it calls the dangerous military drills. Ukraine says Russia carried out 190 strikes with rockets and so-called kamikaze drones over the last 10 days, killing more than 70 people. President Volodymyr Zelensky says nearly one-third of the country's power stations were destroyed in the Russian strikes. But the main grid operator has managed to keep electricity supply to much of the country by shifting power loads on its transmission system. Global News 24 hours a day on air and on Bloomberg Quick Take, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Vonnie Quinn. This is Bloomberg.
This is AP News Minute. Joe Biden, a president who wants to move past fossil fuels, is rushing to increase oil supplies ahead of next month's midterm elections. Administration officials have teased that additional oil can be released from the U.S. Strategic Reserve as part of a response to recent production cuts announced by nations in OPEC+. As temperatures drop below freezing in eastern Ukraine, those who haven't already fled from the heavy fighting and months of Russian occupation are now facing a brutal winter. Collecting firewood and pulling up water from wells, hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians are digging in for the cold months. French cement company Lafarge pleaded guilty Tuesday to paying millions of dollars to the Islamic State group in exchange for permission to keep open a plant in Syria, a case the Justice Department described as the first of its kind. The company also
Amid the rising prices of goods, consumers are welcoming the government's initiative to sell sugar at 70 pesos per kilo through the Sugar Regulatory Administration. But a group of supermarket owners warn that this move could be harmful to commercial sugar sales. Gio Robles with the details.
Turon vendor Presi Estanislao reminds herself that patience is a virtue as she lines up to purchase cheaper sugar being sold at the Sugar Regulatory Administration or SRA office in Quezon City.
Mas mura po kasi dito kesa po sa supermarket tsaka sa mga palengke. Sa palengke po kasi 110, 105 na po.
The SRA offers these packs of white sugar dubbed as BBM sugar at 70 pesos per kilo. This is over 30 pesos cheaper compared to current prices in supermarkets. Consumers who lined up welcome the more affordable sugar being sold.
Kesa po dati 15 pesos kasi sobrang taas na ng asukal. Ngayon nagbalik presyo po ako ng 10 peso lang.
Kung may pera lang ako ma'am, talagang 10 bibilhin ko kahit papaano Mga 2 o 3 weeks naming budget sa bahay. Malaking bagay ito.
The SRA says the BBM Sugar Initiative, which kicked off Monday, aims to ease burden among consumers. A suggested retail price, or SRP, on sugar will also be in place later this month. Aside from the SRA compound in QC, BBM Sugar is also available in Agriculture Department's Kadiwa Centers in NCR and in SRA Regional Office in Bacolod City, Negros Occidental. Each customer is allowed to buy a maximum of 3 kilos to avoid reselling and hoarding. Repacking of the purchased packs is also not allowed. However, a supermarket group says that this initiative could affect commercial sugar sales.
They probably won't be selling washed and brown sugar, no? Kasi 70 a kilo for white will be cheaper than brown or washed sugar.
The group also questioned whether the initiative would be sustainable in the long run. The government has been looking for ways to stabilize sugar prices as the country awaits additional supply from imports and local production. For News 5, Gio Robles, we are One News.
Now to share with us their insights, we have with us on the show Manolet Lamata, President of the United Sugar Producers Federation of the Philippines. Sir Manolet, good evening. Welcome to The Big Story. Can you clarify one thing for us here? We do know that this 70 per kilo initiative is in place, according at least to the DA. That's until sugar mills are fully operational. What does that mean exactly?
Good evening, sir, and good evening, Ma'am Bradshaw. This 70 pesos that's being floated now, or so being sold in the SRA and the DA, Kadiwa, this is just a stopgap measure. This is coming in from the imports that the government initiated, the 150,000 metric tons. I believe 10% of this is being rebagged and sold at this price, which I totally agree. So that the consumers makikinabang. Hindi naman tama yung babayad sila ng 100, 110 pesos. That is too much. As I said, this is just a stopgap because right now the local industry has started harvesting since September. And as I speak, I believe we have close to 200 or more than 200,000 metric tons of sugar already milled and processed. And it's in the bodega and in the process of being shipped to Manila and as refined. So, konting tiyaga na lang. I believe we're going to have a white and sweet Christmas, not that expensive.
Okay. Sir Manolet, if this was a stopgap measure, then how long should the initiative last? And what can you say about those who say that this could be harmful to commercial retailers?
Well, as I said, a stopgap, and how long? This is going to go quite some time because we're talking of 15,000 metric tons of refined at 70 pesos. So that's more than 300,000 bags. That's a lot of sugar, ma'am. And makikinabang dito yung consumers po.
And then also, you have the DA, the SRA, saying that they are going to set an SRP on sugar later this month. What for you, at least from the side of the producers, would be an amenable price point here? Are you willing to benchmark it at 70 pesos per kilo? Or is there any other level that you're seeing here?
Well, depende naman, no? Kasi we're also dependent on fuel prices. Right now, grabe na naman ang saka. Right now, it's back to 80, 86 pesos dito sa amin sa Bacolod. And fertilizer has never gone down. It just keeps on going up. So is labor. So I don't think 70 is a benchmark thing. It should be a little higher than that. Maybe 80, 85 for the refined. And maybe 65, 70 for the raw. Look, at 65, 70, we only have 5 pesos na tubo. The cost of putting up a new crop is really, really exorbitant. You guys should come down here and we will show you the actual thing, what's going on.
Sabi niyo po, konting tiis lang. When do you think will the sugar industry stabilize at this point?
Well, it is starting to stabilize. We are feeling it already. Yung unang umpisa ng harvesting namin, ma'am, They were buying at us for 75 pesos meal gate price on a roll. Right now, ma'am, it's down to 70. And this week, we believe it's going to go down to 65 now. So again, the nature of supply and demand is kicking in. And as we continue on harvesting, there will be more supply and prices will stabilize, ma'am.
Right, maraming salamat po. That was Manolet Lamata, President of the United Sugar Producers Federation of the Philippines. Right after the break, we'll hear more about the suggestion of one lawmaker to ban Korean dramas in the Philippines as a way to support the local entertainment industry. That and more when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News.
On Tuesday, the PNP headed back to the area where broadcaster Percy Lapid was killed. This to conduct a walkthrough of the crime scene together with self-confessed gunman Joel Escorial. Among the areas visited by authorities is the City Hall, where CCTV cameras spotted the alleged gunman walking moments before the crime. The suspect was then taken to Santa Cecilia village, where Lapid was shot twice while he was inside his vehicle October 3rd. The walkthrough of the crime scene aims to strengthen the case against Escorial. So far, the PNP has yet to confirm if the suspect's story matches the details from the police initial investigation. Following the walkthrough, Escorial was brought to the Lapid's home to meet the late broadcaster's brother, Roy Mabasa. There, Escorial admitted that he and the other suspects followed Lapid around and monitored the victim's movement for about 2 weeks before the killing. Despite these confessions, Lapid's brothers doubts the suspect's claims.
I have to admit to you, not 100%. Alam mo kung bakit? Dahil mayroong pagbabago yung tao, nagpagupit pala, hindi ko alam. Hindi natin napunan na siya ay, kasi dun sa unang footages na kinuna ng PNP, medyo mahaba pa yung buhok. Pero ngayon, nagpagupit pala. Bahala na po ang magproseso ang pulis dyan dahil dyan na po magsisimula yung ibang operation nila to lead us to the mastermind of the death of my brother.
Opo, very cooperative po siya. At yun po, yung bigyan namin ng emphasis na yung baril po na isinurrender nga po niya is nag-match po doon sa baril na ginamit po sa pagpatay kay Percy.
Escorial has now undergone inquest proceedings and is facing murder charges. Authorities are also hunting down the 3 other individuals that Escorial claimed were also involved in Lapid's killing. There are Orlando, alias Orly, and brothers Edmond and Israel de Maculangan. Lapid's family is also awaiting results of the investigation into Escorial's claim that the kill order came from someone inside the New Bilibid prison. For News 5, Jenny Dongon, We Are One News.
You're still watching the big story here on One News. Now, Senator Jinggoy Estrada has earned the ire of many Filipinos after his recent comments on possibly banning Korean dramas in the country. Mobile journalist Pamela Vasquez gives us a front seat to the story.
K-dramas have almost become an integral part of Filipino culture in recent years. That's why many were furious about the recent comments of Senator Jinggoy Estrada. During the budget hearing of the Film Development Council of the Philippines, Estrada said he is considering proposing a ban on Korean telenovelas in the country, stressing that Filipino-made shows should instead be promoted.
Ang aking obserbasyon, pag patuloy tayo na nagpapalabas ng Korean telenovela, ang hinahangaan ng ating mga kababayan, itong mga Koreano. At nawawalan ng trabaho at kita yung ating mga artistang Pilipino. Minsan, mapasok sa aking isipan na iba na itong mga telenovela ng mga foreigners.
Netizens and K-drama fans have since slammed the senator for his remark.
Pwede naman pong i-improve po yung quality ng mga Filipino dramas, yung storyline po, para po mas magustuhan ng mga Pilipino panoorin.
If you give proper support and proper training, it will equate to better content. And if you get better content, mas magiging engaged yung mga nanonood. Mas makakakuha sila ng support from their consumers, which is the Filipino people.
Estrada, however, clarified that his comments stem from his frustration with the public's lack of support for the local entertainment industry. The senator also stressed that he has nothing against Korean dramas, adding that the country can learn from them as well. For their part, the FDCP emphasized that the council plans to focus on the production and marketing of local films. Mobile journalist Pamela Vasquez, We Are One News.
For the big story in sports, the country's 2 Olympic gold medalists in Arian Sardegna of bowling and Hidilyn Diaz of weightlifting met for the first time during a courtesy call at the Philippine Sports Commission. A look into that and more in my report.
This is Arian Sardegna of the Philippines.
Unknown to many, the country's first ever Olympic gold medal did not happen in Tokyo. Rather, it was in the 1988 Summer Olympics in Seoul, Korea. With a fire in her eyes, 26-year-old Filipina bowler Arian Sardegna hit 7 strikes in a row to overcome her Japanese opponent, 43-year-old Atsuko Asai, in a stepladder finals in 10-pin bowling.
It's the only sport wherein we Filipinos could win medals. And this is the first gold medal of the Philippines, even though it's an exhibition sport for how many years?
Unfortunately, bowling was only a demonstration sport in the 1988 Games, leaving the win uncounted in the official medal tally. Yet that didn't make it any less special, with Sardegna being named into the Philippine Sports Hall of Fame in 2021. Now back in the Philippine Sports Commission's hallways, the athlete turned frontliner had the opportunity to cross paths with the first official Olympic gold medalist, Hidilyn Diaz.
You set the trend yung ginawa mo, para bang they want to be like you.
Exactly.
Just
Everybody wants to be like Hidilyn.
Hidilyn, who is going for her 5th Olympic run in Paris 2024, has yet to win a world championship. This time, she's determined to cop the award this coming December in Bogota. The PSC, on the other hand, is set on promoting more women in sports.
More coaches and more technical officials, and if possible, more women in the administration.
So nakita mo na puro babae, women in sports. And malaking bagay yun na yung chairman is supportive sa mga kababayan sa sports.
Aside from this, the PSC also plans to focus on nutrition and grassroots development.
Ang aming initial idea is about 500 a day, 500 packs a day. That's a start until we're able to provide all of our national athletes.
With Philippine sports witnessing another golden age in recent years, Chairman Noli says it's crucial to pick up on the blueprint for success.
We are hoping that we can streamline our collections from our partners in government, PAGCOR and PCSO, and also launch our private funding program, which we will tweak from the Project Gintong Alay.
Gintong Alay was an elite-level national sports program launched back in 1979. Now, this encouraged partnerships between government and private sector by having godfathers in every sport. The program produced top athletes in the likes of track stars Lydia De Vega, Elma Muros, and Isidro Del Prado.
I think this is the pinnacle of any sportsman, to be able to help your country in an area which I feel should be free of politics.
Pinakapangarap niyo po?
5 gold medals in the Olympics, in one Olympics, maybe more. And I think it's going to happen.
Gretchen Ho, We Are One News.
5 gold medals.
Gold order 2024. We'll watch out for that.
Let's see. That's a big story tonight. For more updates, follow News 5, the Philippine Star, and Business World Online. You may also log on to onenews.ph for more in-depth analysis. I'm Jess De Los Santos.
The big story is also available via Signal Play app. Make a free account now at signalplay.com and stream One News anytime, anywhere. I'm Gretchen Ho. Stay safe, Philippines.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.